Today on Amazing Dinosaurs, we are checking out all of my super colossal figures. I've got them all right here, and we're gonna be setting them up on the table. Plus, I've got the newest Dino Trackers super colossal figure that we'll check out very soon. The first super colossal figure in this collection is the Giganotosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. It has this soft green coloring with the black detailing all over its side and its back. It's got a pretty large spine running along its back, and some really cool teeth in its mouth. And you'll see that many of these super colossal figures have a stomach compartment, so why don't we go ahead and feed this Giganotosaurus some miniature dinosaurs. And let's set it on the left side right over here. Next up is the super colossal Velociraptor blue figure. This one might be one of my favorite super colossal figures. It of course has the iconic blue stripe running down the side. It's got some huge claws on its hands. And this raptor figure actually comes with more colored eyes than many of the other super colossal figures. So let's set it next to the Giganotosaurus, and let's feed it a few miniature dinosaurs. Next, I've got a custom colored Indoraptor figure. Now this figure was actually originally a Velociraptor blue figure, but it was custom colored to look like an Indoraptor. And as you probably noticed, I've got the real Indoraptor super colossal figure that we'll check out next. So of course you can see that these two are identical in size and shape, and the big difference is the coloring. You'll see that the Indoraptor still has the gold stripe, pretty similar to Velociraptor blue over here. Now let's give it a few miniature dinosaurs to eat, and let's move on to the next one. Here it is. It is time to open up the brand new super colossal Dino Trackers Indoraptor figure. And here it is, the newest super colossal figure that Jurassic World has released. And this is a totally new design. It's not a copy of the T-Rex figures or the Raptor figures. First of all, it's got these little spikes on its back, which I think only the Indominus Rex super colossal figures has. It of course has the gold coloring running along its side all the way up to its neck. Looks like it has smaller claws than the Raptor figures have. And then on the face, it's got some more spikes behind its head right here. It's kind of a soft rubber. It's got some dark red eyes and some really interesting looking teeth. These are really long, and some of them are actually kind of sticking out to the side, which is pretty unique. I don't think another super colossal figure does that. Now when we compare it to the custom colored one that used to be a Raptor, looks like this figure's face is maybe a little bit larger than the Raptor version. Its teeth are definitely a lot more prominent. And yeah, look at that. Here are the Raptor's claws, and then this is the Indoraptor's claws. So quite a bit shorter. But all in all, I'd say this is a pretty awesome figure, and I'm super excited to have it in my collection finally. The next figure here is a custom colored Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. It features a bright red coloring with some yellow detailing right along the black, and some pretty cool shading and texturing all over its face. Its teeth are a bit gritty looking, like it's been in battle. Overall, this is pretty awesome. Now let's feed all three of these, because I think I forgot to feed all of them. Next up, why don't we grab another T-Rex? This figure is another custom colored T-Rex, but this one is in a blue-gray coloring. It has some bright red eyes and some darker gray teeth. And other than that, I think it's pretty much the same as this other T-Rex over here. And let's give it a few mini dinos for it to snack on. Next up, why don't we go with the Indoraptor from Jurassic World Dominion. It features a similar body as the Raptors that we saw earlier, although it does have some different texturing and bumps along its body, and the top of its head is different too, I think. And just like in the movie, it has the white body with the brown and light brown striping. Now let's set this up next in line, and let's feed it a dinosaur. Next up, we've got the Indominus Rex super colossal figure. This one, I believe, came as part of Camp Cretaceous. It's got some pretty cool spikes and bumps on its back, and the larger spikes right on the back of its head. And similar to the new Indoraptor Dino Trackers figure that I've got right over here, This Indominus Rex also has the teeth that stick outside of its mouth and are a whole lot larger. Now let's set it in place next to the Indoraptor, and let's feed it a small dinosaur. Next, we're gonna go with the super colossal Carnotaurus Toro figure. This figure has some different coloring than all the other super colossal figures because it has the clay red coloring and the brown top. And just like the Indominus Rex, has a bunch of bumps and spikes along its back. But even better, this figure has 2 horns on the top of its head. Now let's set this Carnotaurus up next in line and let's feed it a snack. The next figure I'm showing you is the Jurassic World Dominion Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This figure is also pretty recent compared to many of these other figures, and it features some unique coloring compared to all the other super colossal T-Rex figures that I have, with the dark brown and the black on top. And like all the other T-Rex figures, it has a row of clean teeth on the top of varying sizes, and then a row of smaller teeth on the bottom. So next, let's feed it a small dinosaur. This next figure is one of the longest Jurassic World figures that I have. This is the Dreadnoughtus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. I mean, this figure is crazy. Look how long its neck is, and there's its body, and then a super long tail. It just keeps going. And I think that is pretty amazing. It's crazy that they came out with a figure this large. And it's still detailed enough that you can even open and close its mouth. Next, we're going with another T-Rex figure. I think this figure might have been released as part of the Fallen Kingdom collection, either that or maybe Camp Cretaceous. And this T-Rex features the light orange coloring, and it gets a little bit to a darker brown along the top of its body. It has some nice shading and detailing along its face. It's got the yellow eyes, and of course, the teeth, very similar to the Dominion T-Rex's teeth over here. And here's its little dino snack. Next is the Jurassic World Dominion Brachiosaurus figure. And this figure might be the tallest super colossal figure that I have in my collection. Look how much taller it is compared to the T-Rexes. It features some speckled coloring along its back, and it has the lighter underbelly that goes up its neck, and then along its face, it has some pretty cool reflective blue paint. Plus, you can open and close the mouth too. Now let's set this next in line and move on to our next figure. Next up is another T-Rex figure, and this one might be my favorite T-Rex figure because of its camo green coloring and its huge battle damage on the side. I doubt you'll be able to find a T-Rex with this type of coloring because this T-Rex was custom colored. So I think it actually used to be an all orange figure. I think it was actually this figure. You can see that it does have some battle damage right there. And in this custom colored painting, they actually just colored that in and added a bunch other cool details too. But sadly, this figure is really old, so as you can see, a lot of its teeth in its mouth are actually broken. But that doesn't mean it can't enjoy a little dino snack. And finally, I've got the Jurassic World Dominion Apatosaurus figure. As you can see, this figure stands a little bit shorter than the Brachiosaurus figure right here and the Dreadnoughtus figure right here, and definitely is not as long as the Dreadnoughtus figure. And it features the camo green coloring with some lighter detailing along the top of its back. It's got all those stripes and a little tiny head up front that you can turn and move around and even open and close the mouth too. And that is all of my super colossal figures. Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. First up is the super colossal Indominus Rex. This figure has the classic gray coloring like you'll see in the movies. It's got a super textured and bumpy back. It's got the spines right along its neck right there. And it has a super scary looking set of teeth. Plus, this figure is fully posable. You can move the tail, you can move the legs and the ankles, you can move the arms and the wrists, and you can twist the neck around too. This is the Jurassic World Dominion Super Colossal Atrociraptor. This figure has a body shape very similar to the Velociraptors that we'll see later on. It's got the classic coloring like you'll see in the movie for an Atrociraptor. It's got a smaller and more narrow mouth than the Indominus Rex, And its teeth are a lot more evenly spaced too. It's got those red eyes, and this figure is fully posable. It can move the wrists and the arms. You can twist the neck back and forth, the ankles, the legs, and the tail as well. Next up is the super colossal Tyrannosaurus Rex with custom coloring. This T-Rex is super bright. It's got the bright red on the belly and the sides. It's got some yellow-orange detailing right along the black, and then the full black top. Plus, it's got some more intricate detailing with the black and orange along its face too. And interestingly, there's no pupil in this T-Rex's eyes at all, so it makes it look a lot more scary and menacing looking. And you can even see that its teeth are dirty too. That's intentional to make it look a lot more realistic. And of course, this T-Rex is fully posable as well, with the arms, legs, neck, and the tail too. And what I didn't mention for the other ones yet is that all of these have the stomach compartment, so you can actually feed these dinosaurs, smaller dinosaurs, all the way down the throat into their stomach compartment. So let's go ahead and feed this T-Rex a few small dinosaurs. And there they are. Here is another super colossal Tyrannosaurus Rex with custom coloring. I believe this T-Rex used to be an orange Tyrannosaurus Rex, but now it is a soft blue-gray color. It's got some darker feet and black nails. And the coolest part is it's got some blood red eyes too, and black and silver teeth. That's pretty cool. I especially like the shading in this dinosaur because it really brings out the texture and all the wrinkles in its skin. That is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and feed this dinosaur a few miniature dinosaurs as well. This is a super colossal Velociraptor. It's got a dark black body with some yellow striping down the sides and a light brown top. It's got some pretty cool detailing all over it too. You can see that there's some lighter specks in its skin, and you can see the texture of its skin everywhere. Look at that. That's really cool. It's also got some massive claws on its hands, and of course some massive claws on its feet as well. Look at the size of those things. It's almost as big as my thumb. And my favorite part of this Velociraptor is the color of its eyes. Look at how detailed that is. It's got some orange, it's got some gold, it's got some bright red in there, and then the narrow pupil to make it look pretty menacing. And when you open up the mouth, you can see that it's got a fine set of teeth. They all look pretty clean and in place. That's pretty cool. Let's give this Velociraptor a little mini dino snack. This is another Velociraptor super colossal figure, but as you can probably already tell, it is Velociraptor Blue. It's got the blue stripe all the way down to its tail on both sides of its body. It's also got those amazing gold, orange, and yellow eyes with the amazing detail. It's got the full set of teeth, and it's got some pretty cool texture all over its body too. The belly on this Velociraptor is actually a light yellow, and just like the other super colossal figures, it is fully posable with the wrists, the arms, the legs, the tail, just all over its body. This super colossal T-Rex, I believe, is from Camp Cretaceous. It's got the light orange body with the lighter underbelly and the brown top. It's also got some awesome texturing all over its body, some wrinkles and scars and scrapes, make it look a lot more realistic. This T-Rex has yellow eyes and round pupils, which make it look a little bit less scary, and it's got the full set of teeth on the outside of its jaw, so when you close it, you can still see it on the outside as well. This figure is fully posable as well, just like the other ones, so why don't we go ahead and give this T-Rex a mini dino snack. Here's a different dinosaur from what we've seen so far. This is an Apatosaurus. This figure is a bit smaller from the T-Rexes and other figures that we've seen in this video so far, but compared to a lot of the other Jurassic World figures, this thing is still huge. Most of its body is dark green. It's got some lighter green detailing along the top, and it's got a light tan green underbelly. With this figure, you can actually open and close the mouth. You can see some teeth in there, some tiny little teeth. It's got tons of detail around its face too. It's got wrinkles all over its eyes. It's got black eyes. You can move the head around. You can move the neck back and forth. You can move the legs up and down as well. And you can swing the tail back and forth too. we're in our last row of super large dinosaurs now. This is another super colossal T-Rex with different coloring than all the rest of them. You can see it's got some battle damage detailing along its neck and underneath its chin. The rest of its body is dark green. It's got some black detailing and stripes along the top and a lighter underbelly. And this figure has gold eyes too, which is pretty cool. Now with this figure, because it's so old, when you open it up, you'll see that there's not that many teeth left. That's because a lot of them broke off, sadly. And it actually came with sound effects originally when you opened up the jaw. It's kind of broken now, so you can't really hear them. Let's give this T-Rex a few mini dinosaurs as well. Next up, we've got the super colossal Carnotaurus Toro. This figure has the classic clay red coloring for the Carnotaurus with the brown coloring along the top. It's got a ton of little spikes and bumps along its back, as well as the iconic horns right above its eyes. It's also got some battle damage right on its nose too. And just like the T-Rex figures, the teeth are on the outside of the jaw, so when you close it, you can still see the teeth. Kind of hard to notice, but it does also have black spots, little specks, all over its body to give it a little more texture and detail too. See, like right there, you can see some. That's pretty cool. I like the attention to detail. Here is the Jurassic World Dominion Giganotosaurus. This figure is a jungle green color with black detailing and stripes all over the top of its body. It's got this huge spike all the way down its back, all the way down its tail as well. And on its face, it's also got some unique features as well. It's got some ridges and some detailing right around its eyes. Its eyes are a gold color with the narrow pupil, making it look a lot more evil. It has similar teeth to the Indominus Rex in that they're longer, and when you close it, they fit together perfectly, which I think looks really cool. And all over its body, if you look closely, you can see scars and scrapes and battle damage from past battles, which I think is a really cool detail. Let's give a few miniature dinosaurs to this hungry Giganotosaurus. Next up, we've got the Brachiosaurus figure. This figure is super tall. I can't even get its head in frame when it's standing up straight all the way. But let's check out the details of its face. You can still open and close its mouth, and it's got some tiny little teeth in there. It's got the black eyes and this ridge right above its head, and this super long neck that you can move up and down, as well as adjustable legs and a tail too. Plus, the rest of its body has some pretty cool texturing and detailing. Although it is all brown, you can see that it's got some shading and some coloring to make it look a little more realistic. And next, we've got the Jurassic World Dominion Super Colossal T-Rex. This is the newest Super Colossal T-Rex that Jurassic World has released. It's got the dark brown body with black striping and detailing along the top, and the lighter underbelly. And just like the other T-Rex figures, it has the teeth on the outside of its jaw, so that when you close the jaw, you can still see the teeth on the outside. This figure also has yellow eyes and the round pupil, and it has tons of detailing and bumps and texturing all over its face too. Here's a few miniature dinosaurs for this super colossal T-Rex. First up, we've got the Jurassic World Dominion Super Colossal T-Rex. This figure has a dark brown side and black top with the lighter underbelly, and it's got adjustable arms, legs, and a tail. And up front, I can tell that the plastic is a bit softer on its neck. The rest of its head is a hard plastic, and you can open it up way wide, and you're able to actually swallow smaller dinosaurs down to the stomach compartment. That's pretty cool. Next up, we've got another super colossal figure. This is an Indominus Rex. It has the classic light gray body and is pretty detailed with all the spikes and the spines. It's got some spines up there, it's got some behind its elbows, it's got those super long claws on its hand. And just like the T-Rex, you can adjust the arms, the legs, you can swing the tail around. But on this figure, you can also twist the neck too. Here is the next figure. It's another super colossal Tyrannosaurus Rex. This one has the light orange body with a lighter underbelly. And just like the Jurassic World Dominion Tyrannosaurus Rex, the neck is actually a little bit softer. It's like a softer plastic right there. And you can move the arms, the legs, the tail, just like the other ones. And of course, this one has the stomach compartment for eating smaller dinosaurs. And we've got some brand new figures that we can open up first before we dive into the rest of them. This one is the PNSO Wilson the Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure is super detailed. Look at all that texturing on its body, all the various shades of colors. It's like lighter right here, there's darker shades. These are a lot more detailed than a lot of the Jurassic World figurines. But unfortunately, they're not as posable. Usually you can only move their jaw. All right, let's dig in. This first Tyrannosaurus Rex is the Battle Damage Edition. It has the light orange body. You can see that there's scrapes and slashes all over its body, even on its face and nose. And it has a fully posable body, plus the button at the top of the head for chomping. Over here, we've got an Indominus Rex, the Extreme Battle Damage Edition. With this one, you can actually turn the battle damage on and off. That's so cool. Each time that you press that button, it delivers a roar sound effect too. On the rest of the figure, the arms and the legs are fully adjustable, and there's a button at the tail that controls the jaw. Here we've got the epic Roarin' Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure is light brown on the sides, dark brown on top, and the lighter underbelly. And the coolest part is the roar and shaking sound effects. Over here is the Jurassic World Chompin' Indominus Rex. This is a bit of an older figure. It's got the hard plastic on the back and the rubber on the neck and head. You don't see that too often nowadays. And for the chomping action, you pull down on the arms to open and close its mouth. I believe this figure is the Bite and Fight Tyrannosaurus Rex. As you can tell by the name, it has one big special feature. Press this button on its back and it does a tearing action. Swings its head around and closes its mouth real fast. And there is also a secondary button that swings its tail back and forth. I believe this figure is the Destroy and Devour Indominus Rex, but you'll notice that it has some custom coloring. So this definitely does not look like your typical Indominus Rex. And this figure really pops out on my display shelves. My favorite part being those green eyes right there. Next up is the Stomp and Escape Tyrannosaurus Rex. As you can tell by the name, it has two features. The first, when you press this button on its back, it'll escape from its face cage. Just like that. And the second feature is Stompin'. When you twist the tail, it stomps its feet up and down. Comes with sound effects too. Here we have a classically colored Destroy and Devour Indominus Rex. This figure is pretty detailed over its body. It's got tons of spikes on its back. It's got those spines right along its neck. It's got some unique coloring along its eyes, right next to those orange eyes. And this figure has a few different features. First, when you bend the legs forward, it'll actually point its head down. And when you bend them back, it'll point its head upwards. Secondly, there's a button on its back that's used for slashing. And finally, there's a button on its tail for the chomping and roaring. Here is an Extreme Battle Damage Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure is pretty posable. You're able to move the arms, the legs, and swing the tail around, as well as adjust the neck and open and shut the jaw by hand. But the coolest part is the battle damage that you can turn on and off, just like the Indominus Rex that we saw earlier. And you can see it on both sides. Next up, we've got the Extreme Chompin' Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure has a more gray-brown coloring on the sides with a darker brown on top and the light underbelly, and is adjustable just like many of the other figures. and it has the button at the top of its head for chomping and roaring. Here is another Indominus Rex, but this does not look normal. This is a hybrid Indominus Rex. So this one has some pretty awesome and unique coloring along its body. It's the only Indominus Rex to have red on its body, I believe, as well as the gold on its arms and its belly. And this dinosaur has a few features. First is a hidden button that activates its spikes on its back. Secondly is the chomping action, which you activate by moving its arm. Here we have, I believe, another extreme chomping Tyrannosaurus Rex. This one, though, has the orange body with the brown coloring on the top with the lighter underbelly. And of course, that chomping button right on the top of its head. This is the Stomp and Chomp Tyrannosaurus Rex. It has the typical orange body with the brown top and lighter underbelly. And what I really like about this figure is that you use the tail to control the head and the whole front of the body for chomping and for roaring too. Here we've got a model Indominus Rex, which I don't see that many of. But what I like about these models is that they're so much more intricately colored and textured. Check out those spikes on its back. They're so small on all those little spines and all those little horn things right along its back all the way to its tail. And just like many other model figures, you can't adjust the arms and legs. Only the mouth can open and close in these. But these sure look epic on a display shelf. Next up is the Legacy Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is one of the few Tyrannosauruses that I have that are this cool green color with the black detailing on the top. It has that same button on the top of its head for chomping. And this T-Rex actually came with a baby T-Rex in the same pack. So these came together. Here is a smaller Indominus Rex figure with a battle damage on the side that you can open and close. And while most of its body is that iconic gray color, it does have some gray-green coloring along the top, which is different from most of my other Indominus Rex figures. Plus, this figure comes with a chomping action when you move the tail. Way at the bottom here, I've actually got the T-Rex Anatomy Kit. Now I am missing a few pieces to it. It's really easy to misplace these, but it's really cool that you can take this apart to check out all the different body parts within. You can take the ribs out, you can see this muscle on its tail and the bone behind it, and you can even take apart this foot right here and see what's underneath. How cool is that? This is the Bashers and Biters Indominus Rex figure. This is from the old Jurassic World toy line, and it has similar coloring to the rest of them, a little bit darker gray on top, got the battle damage on the side, and of course you can move the tail to control the face. This is a Tyrannosaurus Rex figure, but I believe it is a juvenile or even a baby T-Rex. You can see it's got the mouth restraint on, because the humans are actually healing its leg. It's got a broken leg, so it's got this bandage around it. And this figure is very adjustable too. You can move all the limbs, even at the elbows. And of course you can move the tail and twist the head around and even open and close the mouth. This is the Feeding Frenzy Indominus Rex. This is a lot smaller than most of the Indominus Rex figures, but it has quite a large face to it. And it has a few features. The first is when you press this button on its nose, get some sound effects. And the second is when you move the tail, it opens its mouth to eat, and then you can press down on its tongue to clamp shut its jaw. And last of all, I've got a few small figures in here. Got a Lego Indominus Rex figure, which is pretty cool. It's the only Lego figure that I have in this bin, at least. We've also got some miniature Tyrannosaurus Rex figures from Jurassic World. This one is green with a light underbelly, and the second one here is brown with a light underbelly as well. And I also have these two Indominus Rexes in this bin. The first one is white with silver, reflective silver on its top, and you can open and close the jaw. And the second one is a clear Indominus Rex. You can't move any parts on this figure. but I think it's pretty cool that it's see-through. First, let's check out these super colossal figures. This is Velociraptor Blue in the super colossal form. It's got the iconic blue stripe and the classic raptor teeth. Right next to that is an Atrociraptor figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's colored white and it has some brown striping on its body and some very similar teeth. And the last super colossal raptor is this new Indoraptor figure, and it is one of my favorites for sure. Like Velociraptor Blue, it has a stripe down its side, but it is a gold stripe, and I really love how different its teeth are compared to the other raptors. Moving over to the T-Rex side, this is the super colossal T-Rex from Jurassic World Dominion. It has the brown colored body and totally different teeth compared to the raptors. Right next to that is a custom colored T-Rex that I've had for a really long time. It is a light blue-gray color. It has some dark red eyes and some sharper teeth, I think, compared to the Dominion T-Rex. And finally, there is another custom colored T-Rex here. This one is the Fire T-Rex. It's got red, yellow, and black all over its body. Its eyes actually do not have any pupils, and overall is just a really cool looking dinosaur. And now let's check out these new sets that I got. This first one is the Jurassic World Legacy Collection Tyrannosaurus Ambush Pack. Here is the Jeep that comes in this set. It is a camo Jeep. It's got the barricaded windows, and at the top is Dr. Ian Malcolm. But even better than that is this new T-Rex with new painting. I don't have another T-Rex with this color design on it. Looks to be mostly a dark green color. It has some gray and yellow accenting on the top of its back. And of course, it has the button at the top of its head for chomping and roaring. Now let's check out the new Dino Trackers Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. And here it is, an entirely new T-Rex figure in my collection. Once again, this one has totally new coloring. It's got some brown striping with an almost yellow color along the top. And it has this headpiece that you can fit it onto its face. And now it's kind of like an eyepiece or something like that. And this figure actually has a new attack button on its back. Let's check it out. So it's like a sideways chomping action with sound effects. That's pretty cool. Now let's get these new T-Rex figures set up on the T-Rex side. And now let's move on to our next figures. So next we're gonna grab a Raptor. Why don't we go with the largest one here? This is a Pyroraptor figure. And this one's pretty special because it actually is battery powered and you can actually play with it and it walks around and stuff. So let me turn on the power. Let's see it. You can tap it on the head here, and it'll respond to you, or underneath the chin as well. That's a pretty cool and pretty unique figure. We're gonna set it over here on the Raptor side. Now it's back to the T-Rexes. Let's check out this epic roaring T-Rex from Camp Cretaceous. This figure is a little bit larger than the other T-Rexes that I've shown so far, and it has an attack button on its tail for roaring and chomping and moving the head around. And let's get this T-Rex on the T-Rex side right there. Back to the Raptors, let's go with this awesome Indoraptor figure. As you can tell, this figure is way smaller than the super colossal Indoraptor figure, but I'm still a pretty big fan of it. It's got this cool blue reflective coloring over its entire body. So let's go ahead and set it up underneath the super colossal Raptors. Next up for the T-Rexes, I've got the new 93 Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This figure was released as part of the 30th anniversary for Jurassic Park and looks very similar to the vintage one that they released all those years ago. It's even got the real feel skin texture too. Now let's set it up to face off against the Raptors on the T-Rex side. Let's see, what Raptor should we go with next? Why don't we go with this Velociraptor blue figure? This is another pretty unique Velociraptor figure. You can see that it's built quite a bit differently, and it has these really cool movements. First, it has a snapping action with sound effects. You can move its tail around, you can move its legs, and really make it look super lifelike. It's really cool. And so let's set this over on the Raptor side, right underneath the Super Colossal Indoraptor. For the T-Rexes, I've got a classic brown T-Rex figure. This figure features a fully posable body and the button at the top of its head for snapping its jaw open and closed. And so let's set this over here, right underneath this Dominion Super Colossal figure. Next, let's grab this Mega Raptor figure. This figure was released for Jurassic World Dominion. It features some really cool red and dark blue coloring. It has a ton of cool spikes on its back and a chomping action. And let's set it up right over here, right in front of the little Indoraptor. Next, let's go with a huge Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex. And I think this figure is a little bit larger than almost all of these other T-Rex figures. It has a much larger torso, and it actually has a button on its back used for a huge roaring and chomping action. All right, now let's see if we get this T-Rex lined up on the T-Rex side. Looks like he's standing a little closer to the Raptors. For the Raptors, let's grab this Amber Collection Velociraptor figure. These Amber Collection figures are really cool because of their unique coloring and because of how posable they are. You can move practically every limb in this Raptor as it would in real life. And now we're gonna set this right back here for the Raptor side. And back for the T-Rexes, let's grab this fiery red T-Rex. This T-Rex also has the yellow, black, and red coloring, very similar to the Super Colossal figure right here, but it's a bit more reflective and shiny overall. And it features a fully posable body and the button at the top of its head for chomping. And we're gonna set this one right next to the other Fire T-Rex, right above it. Now let's grab this other Velociraptor blue figure. Looks like we have 3 Velociraptor blues in this collection so far. We first had the Super Colossal version, then we had this little one over here, and now here is, I believe, the smallest version in this collection. Now this figure is a basic version, so it's a bit cheaper than many of these other figures, but it doesn't have an attack button. You can only move its tail, its legs, and its arm. But overall, still pretty cool. And now let's set this in line over on the Raptor side here. This next T-Rex here is another Legacy Collection T-Rex, I believe. So here is the older Legacy Collection, and here is the newer version that we just opened up at the beginning of the video. And this version too has some dark green coloring, although it just has some black striping on the top of its body, but it still has the button on its head for chomping and roaring. Now why don't we go ahead and set it up right in front of the other Legacy Collection T-Rex. So we got the 2 green T-Rexes right next to each other. Here's another basic figure for the Raptor side. This is a Pyroraptor from Jurassic World Dominion. Now it's pretty similar in shape and size to the Velociraptor blue figure that we saw earlier from the basic series, but it has some pretty cool feather texturing on its arms, on its body, and on the top of its head too. So let's go ahead and set this up right next to the Velociraptor blue figure. Here is the Terran T-Rex figure. This one is a massive Tyrannosaurus Rex. It still has the classic brown coloring on its body, but it has 2 big action buttons on its back. The first operates the huge Terran action. Check that out, it twists its whole neck and chomps its jaw shut. And the second button swings the tail back and forth. Probably knock out some Raptors with that swing. All right, let's see if we've got more space for this Terran T-Rex. It's getting pretty cramped over here on the T-Rex side. This next Raptor is a quite old Velociraptor figure from the first Jurassic World movie. This figure was actually made by Hasbro instead of Mattel, who made many of these newer figures over here. And you know, overall, it's a pretty basic figure. You can only move the legs and the arms a little bit, but sadly, there's no chomping or attack action. But nonetheless, we'll still set it up right over here on the Raptor side. Here we've got a battle damage T-Rex figure. This T-Rex comes in the orange-brown coloring, and you can see that it has battle damage painted all over its body and even some on its face. Plus, it has the button for chomping and roaring at the top of its head. Let's see, oh boy, where are we gonna fit this T-Rex? And we can put him right up front, right here. For the Velociraptor side, we're gonna go with this basic Atrociraptor figure. This figure is much like the other basic figures that we saw in that you can move its tail, its legs, and its arms, but it doesn't have any actions. But it's still a pretty cool piece. I love the bright red eyes, and it has similar painting to the super colossal Atrociraptor that I've got right up there. And we'll go ahead and put this Atrociraptor right next to the other basic Raptor figures. Now here is another super old Jurassic World figure, I believe from the first movie once again, which means that this figure I believe was made by Hasbro instead of Mattel, and this whole T-Rex was actually custom colored as well. So let's put this little T-Rex right in here. I think we've got a little space back here. There we go. And here are all the final figures for this collection, so I'm just gonna bring them all over here in a pile. Let's first get this Amber Collection Velociraptor set up. It has some really cool teal coloring with spots all over, and just like all the other Amber Collection, is super posable. And let's place it down right here at the edge of the line. Let's set up a few more Raptors over here while we're at it. Here is a smaller gray and yellow Velociraptor. It's very small, so there's no action button, but it's still pretty posable. And we're gonna place this right over here. Next is this red and green Velociraptor, and it has spring-loaded legs, so you can actually press down and send it flying into the air. And we'll set that one up right here. Now I've got two more Velociraptors right here. This one is the newer one. I believe it's part of the Dino Trackers series, and it actually does have an attack button for moving its head up and down. And we're gonna set this one back here. And then this Velociraptor is a more clay red or kind of a brown color, and it is a Battle Damage Edition Atrociraptor. So you can see a button right there, and the battle damage on its side. You can click on and off. And we're gonna set this Raptor up right over here on the edge of the line. But let's not forget our last and smallest T-Rex of the collection. This is the Sound Surge T-Rex, and it has the classic brown coloring all over its body with some gray detailing on the top of its head. And of course, the sound effects that you can turn on with the button. And so finally, let's place this on the T-Rex side, right in front of the Velociraptors. And that is the full collection. Which side do you think would win in a battle? The Raptors or the T-Rexes? Let me know in the comments below. Figure is probably almost 2 feet from the tip of its nose to its tail, and it stands over a foot tall, and it's got huge arms compared to T-Rex figures, and it's got some awesome detailing along the back as well. Let's put this one right on the far corner. The next biggest figure in this collection is this Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This figure is a little bit bigger than a lot of my other T-Rex figures, and it has a ton more detailing on its body. Plus, they made this figure way more adjustable. It has 3 points of articulation in its torso and its neck, 2 points of articulation in its tail, can even bend the elbows, and it's just really cool and realistic looking. So let's put this next to the Indominus Rex figure. Let's see, next up is probably this Jurassic World Dominion Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. It looks a lot different compared to the Hammond Collection. It's a lot darker. This one has marbled eyes. This one has painted yellow eyes. And on this T-Rex figure, its head is ginormous compared to a lot of the other T-Rex figures. And of course, it's got an action button on its tail for the chomping and roaring too. Let's put this right next in line. See now, the Hammond Collection T-Rex is a bit bigger than this normal Dominion T-Rex in terms of height, but this one does have a much larger head, as you can see. All right, what's next? I think this giant Giganotosaurus figure is the next biggest figure. And this Giganotosaurus has 2 main action buttons. The first swivels its entire torso back and forth, complete with sound effects, and the second button underneath its tail opens and closes its jaw. You know, I think this Giganotosaurus is actually bigger than this T-Rex right here, so let's have them switch places. Next up, let's see, I think it's this T-Rex that is the next largest. I believe this is a Camp Cretaceous Tyrannosaurus Rex, and is one of my favorite because of how you can move its neck and its head around to look super lifelike. And this one is definitely a little bit smaller than the Dominion T-Rex, so I think they'll go side by side. Here we've got a big Spinosaurus figure, and in real life, the Spinosaurus is actually the largest carnivore, but in terms of the figure, it's actually a bit smaller than some of these other figures right here. And this figure is actually the Legacy Collection Spinosaurus. So this one's actually pretty hard to find nowadays. And although the spine is a little bit taller than that T-Rex, they're generally around the same size. So we're just gonna put this Spinosaurus right here. Right over here, we've still got another T-Rex figure. This is a Legacy Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it is one of the few T-Rexes that I have that is in this really cool camo green color. This one is definitely a little bit smaller than this Spinosaurus right there. Now we're getting down to a little bit smaller figures. I think the next biggest size is the Therizinosaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. This figure has some huge claws, and I think this dinosaur might have the biggest claws out of any dinosaur that I've seen. But interestingly, it is a herbivore dinosaur. And we're gonna set it down right next to the Legacy Collection T-Rex. The next biggest dinosaur in this collection is the Scorpius Rex, which I'm sure you recognize from Camp Cretaceous Season 3. This figure has two action buttons. The first is for its jaws and sound effects, and the second is the claw slashing action. It's really cool, and a little bit smaller than the Therizinosaurus figure. I'm gonna put it down right beside it. Actually, now that they're side by side, I think the Scorpius Rex is a little bigger, so let's have them swap places. All right, next biggest is probably this Carnotaurus figure. I think this is an older Carnotaurus, might be from the Fallen Kingdom collection. It has a jaw snapping action right on its back. Let's put this right next to the Therizinosaurus. Next up, in terms of the tallest dinosaur, I think is probably this Albertosaurus figure. I actually have a battle damage edition of the Albertosaurus, but this one is just the normal one, and you can use its tail to twist its neck around and open and close its jaw. Since we're running out of room on the edge of the table over there, we're gonna start a new row right up front here. Next up is the Pyroraptor figure. This is the basic Pyroraptor from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got the same awesome coloring, but pretty limited in terms of its movement. Here we've got another Scorpius Rex figure from the Camp Cretaceous collection. This one is actually a lighter green than the other Scorpius Rex. You can see that that one's like mostly black, but this one's got a lighter green on the sides. This figure is a bit smaller than the other Scorpius Rex. And now this Scorpius Rex actually looks a bit bigger than this Pyroraptor figure, so we're gonna have them switch places. Next up is another Giganotosaurus figure. This is the Sound Surge Giganotosaurus. As I'm sure you can hear right now, it is a whole lot smaller than this Giganotosaurus figure right here, and a little bit smaller than this Pyroraptor figure. And put them right beside each other. Let's see now. Next up, let's go with this Stegosaurus. This is a Jurassic World Dominion Stegosaurus, and I am loving the new color design on this. And with those huge spines on the top, it's a little bit taller than these other dinosaurs, but in terms of size, I'd say it's pretty close. So we're gonna put it right there for now. Right over here, next up in size, is the Ichthyovenator dinosaur from Jurassic World. This is a super bright dinosaur, and we're gonna set it down right next to the Stegosaurus figure. Here is a classic Baryonyx figure with the button on its back to activate its jaw. So why don't we put this dinosaur down as the next in line of the biggest. Over here, we've got the Hammond Collection Triceratops, and this also is quite a new figure that I bought recently. I am loving the texture and design of this, although the coloring is a bit plain, I would say. Let's put this down right next to the Baryonyx figure. For the next up in size, why don't we go with this new Jurassic World Dominion Triceratops figure. Let's open it up. So this figure has a lot of the classic camo green coloring, and it's got some clay red brown coloring along the top. So let's set this down right next to the Hammond collection Triceratops. For the next up in size, let's go with this new one that I just bought, the Jurassic World Dino Trackers Carnotaurus figure. Let's get this opened up. All right, here is the new figure. It's obviously an aquatic dinosaur. I think this one came out very recently. And it has a button on its back so you can twist its head back and forth and even open and close its mouth too. Let's set this down right next to the Triceratops. Just a few left. Next up in size is this Ankylosaurus figure with the clay red and brown coloring and tons of spikes on its body. Plus, when you press down on its back, it swings its tail back and forth. This figure right here is an extreme battle damage Velociraptor. You can actually turn the battle damage on and off just with the click of a button. I've also got an extreme battle damage Pyroraptor figure with the same feature on its side. You can click the damage on and off. And let's set that down right next to the Raptor figure. All right, here are our last three. This is an extreme battle damage Dimetrodon figure with that same click action battle damage on both sides. This is also a super bright dinosaur. And we're actually gonna set this down right in front of them in the very front row. And here is what might be the smallest Therizinosaurus figure by Jurassic World that they've made. I'm actually not sure, but this figure is teeny tiny. Let's put this right next to the Dimetrodon. And last of all, we've got the Jurassic World Dominion Wow Pods Dilophosaurus figure. Let's get this opened up and let's check it out. Here it is out of the box, so you can see the whole Dilophosaurus face and the frills, and it's actually battery operated. So there's a motion sensor up here that'll turn on these lights, and it might be a bit too bright in here to actually see it, but it kind of changes the color of the Dilophosaurus. And the cool thing about these is that when you get more of these Wow Pods, you can actually stack them on top of each other and arrange your own way to display them. So we're gonna set this down right in the corner next to the Therizinosaurus figure. First up is this extreme chomping Spinosaurus. It's got the green body with the red spine and the red around its face and a button to open and close its jaw. Next, we've got a huge Giganotosaurus figure with the classic green body and black detailing all along its top and sides. This figure is fully posable with its legs, arms, and its tail, and it actually has two action buttons. One to swing the torso around, and one to open and close the jaw. Here is a really old T-Rex figure. This is from Jurassic Park. It's got the red and black body. Its whole body is soft and rubbery, aside from its arms and its legs. It's got a huge set of teeth and those yellow eyes, and it used to have an action button that would open and close its jaw, but it's a little old and doesn't work quite as well now. Here is a Carnotaurus with some bright orange-red coloring along its body and darker coloring along the top. Its skin is super bumpy and textured. It's got those huge horns on the top of its head, and it is fully posable with the arms, the legs, and the tail, and you can actually use the tail to move the head up and down and open and close its jaw. Here's a T-Rex from the Jurassic World Dominion series. It has much darker coloring than many T-Rex figures and a much larger head as well. It's got some bright yellow eyes, a huge set of teeth, and with a tail like many other T-Rex figures, you can use it to twist its head, move it around, and open and close its jaw. This is the Stomp and Escape Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's got a lighter color body with some gray detailing all over. It's got fully posable arms, and actually the feet stomp whenever you twist the tail back and forth. And there's one more action on its back, a button that you can press for the roaring. Here is another Carnotaurus figure. It's got a darker red coloring along its body and an almost purple color along the top of its body. It's got the same bumpy texture and the horns on the top of its head. This dinosaur's eyes are black though, which is pretty scary looking. And there's an action button on its back for the chomping. This is the Sound Surge Giganotosaurus figure. A bit smaller than the last one we saw, but it still has the same awesome coloring and the huge black spine along its back. It is fully posable. You can move the tail, the legs, and the arm, and you can open and close the mouth manually. And the most important part for the sound effects is you press on top of this spine. That's got a really long roar. One detail that I didn't really notice too much before is that you can see a lot of battle damage all along its body. It's got all these slashes and scrapes on its legs, on its torso, and just everywhere. That's pretty cool. Here is a giant Spinosaurus figure with different coloring than any other figure that I have. And it's even a little more intricate than a lot of the dinosaur figures that I have. It's got blue along its spine, it's got these tan lines and dark brown all over its body. It's got a lighter underbelly. Its nails are painted like this orange-brown color and they're faded, which is really cool. It's got these glowing green eyes and it's got some dirty looking teeth too, which is a fun detail. Next up, I've got the Sound Surge Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is the same figure as the Sound Surge Giganotosaurus, a bit smaller than a lot of the T-Rex figures over there, but it's got a similar coloring with the brown and the gray detailing along its neck. This figure is fully posable as well. You can move the legs, the tail, the arm, and you can open and close the mouth. And of course, there's the button for the sound effects. Here's another T-Rex figure. I believe this one is from the first Jurassic World movie, so it looks quite a bit different. It's got a rubbery tail and a rubbery neck that you can push back and forth, and it has a chomping function as well. This is a Spinosaurus figure from Jurassic Park, and it looks totally different from the Jurassic World Spinosaurus figures. Still got the big spine, but it's got totally different coloring, its head shape is pretty different, and overall it just looks totally different from the new ones. Here is another Carnotaurus figure. This one has a dark brown coloring with darker detailing along the top. It's got the same bumpy texture along its skin, the two big horns, and the yellow eyes. And it is fully posable as well. You can move the legs, you can move the arms, and you can use the tail to control the head. This T-Rex figure is super posable. Not only can you move the tail, the legs, and the arms, but you can actually move the neck in all directions so you can have it look wherever you want it to, which is really cool. And this figure has the button on the top of its head used for opening and closing the jaw. This T-Rex figure is another old Jurassic World figure, I believe from the first movie. It's got a light tan body and it is pretty posable. You can move the arms, the legs. Can't move the tail at all, but it does have an action button on its back to open and close the jaw. You know what? I almost forgot about these brand new ones that I just bought to add to my collection. Let's start with this Jurassic World Dominion Extreme Damage Tyrannosaurus Rex. Let's click that tail in there. Easy enough. All right, so I think this is the newest battle damage T-Rex that they've made, and it's got some pretty cool coloring. It's got a much darker orange coloring than many of the T-Rex figures, and it's got some detailing along its entire body, like discoloration that make it look quite a bit more realistic, I think. It's also got some dark gray detailing right along its back and neck, all the way up to around its eyes and its nose. And its entire body is pretty posable too. You can move the legs, you can move the arms, you can move the tail, you can twist the neck in all sorts of directions so you can have it look wherever you want it. And you can pose the mouth as well. It stays open, it doesn't require a button to keep it open. But there is one button on its back, and that's used for activating the extreme battle damage. This battle damage is just like some of the other Tyrannosaurus Rex figures that I have, and I really like how they do this feature, so I'm glad that they're keeping it going. The next brand new figure that I bought for this collection is the Sound Surge Carnotaurus. Let's check it out. Then we gotta click this leg in, and the tail. That went in pretty easy. This Carnotaurus figure has the same red coloring as many of the other Carnotaurus figures that I have, but as you can see, it doesn't have that much other detailing along its body. It is just a plain red color. Aside from around its head, it's got some gray detailing along its neck and on the top of its head too. It's got some dark gray or black eyes, and you can open the mouth manually. And most important of all, you've got the button for the sound effects. Next up is this giant T-Rex with a tearing action. Using this first button on its back, you can actually have it tear and twist away as if it's grabbing a huge piece of meat. It's pretty cool. I don't have another T-Rex figure that does an action like this. And there is actually another button that you can use to swing the tail back and forth. Plus, the rest of this figure is posable as well. You can move the arms, the legs, and you can move the tail by yourself if you want to as well. Here I've got a little Carnotaurus figure from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. It's got a dark green body with the orange detailing along the top and a pretty posable body. You can move the arms, the legs, you can twist the tail, and you can actually move the neck around and open and close the jaw manually. Here is the last Spinosaurus in this bin. This is the Extreme Chompin' Spinosaurus from Camp Cretaceous. It's got the light tan body with the red detailing on its spine and on its face. And it's got a posable body. You can move the neck around to look in all directions. You can move the arms and the legs and the tail as well. And there's the button on the top of its head for chomping and roaring. Here's what looks like a baby Carnotaurus figure. It's got a much smaller body but a larger head, and it has two action buttons, one for blinking and moving the eyes, and one for the chomping action on its tail. And it is a posable figure as well. You can move the arms and you can move the legs around too. Way in the back here, I've got a super colossal T-Rex from Jurassic World Dominion. This figure has a dark brown body with darker detailing all over. It's got the light underbelly and the stomach compartment and a ginormous jaw that you can feed smaller dinosaurs. Plus, all the limbs on this dinosaur are posable. You can move the arms, the legs, the ankles, and the tail too. Next is the super colossal Carnotaurus Toro. It has the iconic clay red coloring like many of the Carnotaurus figures with the brown detailing along the top, along with a super bumpy texture along its back. It has a lighter underbelly with the stomach compartment. You can feed it tons of little dinosaurs. It's got some bright orange eyes and the battle damage right along its nose. That's a pretty big gash too. And you can move all the limbs in this figure, including the neck, the arms, the legs, and the tail. And finally, here is the super colossal Giganotosaurus figure. It's got the green and black body with the huge spines along its back. It's got some pretty crazy and unique looking teeth. Look how they fit together when it closes its mouth. That's pretty cool. It's got some reflective gold eyes, and all the limbs on this figure are movable too. You can move the neck, you can move the arms, even the wrists, move the legs and ankles, and you can move the tail back and forth too. This bin on the right. The very first one is a battle damaged T-Rex with the orange body and the brown top. This T-Rex is dark green in color. It's got some black detailing along its back, and it's got the button at the top of its head for chomping and roaring. This is the Yangchuanosaurus from the Dominion series. It's got the green body with brown detailing and the orange crown on the top of its head. Here we've got another T-Rex with the soft brown body and the darker brown along the top, and of course the button on the top of its head for chomping and roaring. This Dominion figure is a Siamosaurus. It's got a dark body with the red spine and the red head. Up next, we've got a T-Rex figure, but this is actually a hybrid T-Rex. You can tell because it has spines that pop out of its back by pressing this button, and the jaw opens and closes as well. Here is another T-Rex figure, but this is a gray-brown T-Rex. It's got some darker brown along the top. It's very adjustable, and you can open and close the mouth too. Way back here is a camouflage T-Rex. It's got some sound effects too. You can open and close the mouth, and you can do a chomping effect too. This is a Sarcophagus. It's got some short legs, but it's got the blue body with purple and orange detailing on the top. This super bright dinosaur is another T-Rex. It is custom colored, so it is a bright red. It's got some orange and black as well. Over here is a Scorpius Rex that I'm sure you recognize from the Jurassic World movie. It has 2 action buttons, one for the jaw and one for the arms. Next up, we've got a Tarbosaurus figure. This is gray and a darker gray. It's got those huge spikes along its spine, and it's got the red chin and neck too. This is a Siatsmicrorerum. It's got the orange body with the blue detailing on its back and head, and it's got some gray detailing along the back of its body. Back here is a Carcharodontosaurus with the blue body and the brown and orange detailing along its back, all the way up to around its eyes. Here is a Rajasaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It has a dark body with some lighter coloring along its neck, and it has an action button for chomping. Next up, we've got an old Indominus Rex figure. This one is smaller. It's got some battle damage on the side. You can open and close, and you can use the tail to chomp the mouth. Here is a super bright dinosaur. This is the Suchomimus. It's got a bright yellow body with the brown detailing along its spine, and it has 2 action buttons. One for the jaws, and one to swing the tail. Here is another bright dinosaur. This is a Metriacanthosaurus. It's got the bright red body with some brown detailing on its back and some orange on its head. Here's another Metriacanthus figure. This has a yellow body with some green coloring along the top, and it has the action button on its back for the jaw. This is a super cool looking Allosaurus figure. It's got the gray body with the yellow detailing all over. It's got some awesome looking red right above its eyes, and it's got an action button for the jaw. Right over here is the Majingasaurus with a green, yellow, and blue body, and you can use the tail to control the neck. Here is a Cryolophosaurus figure. This has a bright yellow body with brown detailing and orange along the top of its body. Here's another small Indominus Rex figure. This has battle damage on the side that you can't open or close, but you can still use the tail to open and close the mouth. Next up is the Irritator. This has a brown, blue, and light blue body, and you can use the tail to control the neck. I've got a Baryonyx figure here with a brown, blue, and orange coloring on its body, and it's got an action button on its back for the jaw. Next up is another Allosaurus figure. This one has a brown and blue body, and it has a slide lever action to control the jaw. This Jurassic World figure is a Baryonyx. It's got the gray, white, and blue detailing on its body, and it has the slide lever action to control the jaw too. Next up, I've got the Jurassic World Hammond Collection Parasaurolophus. This figure is a light tan color. It's got some bright orange running all the way down its back, and of course, it's got the iconic horn at the top of its head. Here is another Hammond Collection figure. This is the Baryonyx. It is super adjustable and posable, and it's got some pretty cool detailing all along its body. This is a basic Spinosaurus figure. It's got the dark green body with some white detailing, and of course the red along its spine and all around its eyes. Here is the Ceratosaurus figure in the dark green coloring with black detailing on the top and the slide lever action to control the jaw. Here is another Ceratosaurus figure, but this one is in the brown and orange coloring, and it's got a button at the top of its back to control the jaw. Next up, we've got the Extreme Chompin' Carnotaurus. This is a little figure, but it has a huge head, and it has a button to control the eyes, and a button for chomping too. This figure is from the Amber Collection. I believe this one is Velociraptor Tiger. As you can tell, it's got the stripes all over its body with the orange, making it a pretty bright dinosaur. I've got a few Dimetrodon figures in here too. This first one is a light blue with a red spine. I've also got this green Dimetrodon with an even brighter red spine. Here is a small Carnotaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. Next up, I've got a few Monolophosaurus figures. This first one is a soft green color with darker detailing, and this other figure is a brown Monolophosaurus with gray detailing on its body. Here is a baby Brachiosaurus in the light green color. Got a couple horned small dinosaurs here. This first one is the Zuniceratops. It's got some bright coloring on the side of its body. And this one is the battle damaged Triceratops. I've got a few small Dilophosaurus figures in here as well. This first one is brown, blue, and white, especially on the front. And this other one is a soft green, and it's got some orange, red, and yellow on its body. This is the battle damaged Coelurus figure. You can see that you can press this button on its back to activate the battle damage on the side. Let's see what else I got. I've got another Monolophosaurus figure. This one is a bright green color. It's got some red on the front. And this is a Herrerasaurus. It is a gray-blue color with the white detailing along the top of its body. Of course, I've got a few Velociraptor figures in here in this first bin. This first one is a green color. It has a button on its back to activate the arms. And this second Velociraptor figure has its legs spring-loaded, so you can actually launch it into the air. And the last one's in this first bin. We still have one more bin to go. I've got a handful of herbivore figures. This first figure is a Minmi in the green coloring. I've also got a Sauropelta in the red and gray coloring with the huge spikes. Here is Ankylosaurus Bumpy from Camp Cretaceous. And can you guess the name of this herbivore dinosaur? Let me know down in the comments below. Now it's time for this second bin that will complete my 100 Jurassic World dinosaur figure haul. And I've actually got some brand new ones that we're gonna open up before we get into the bin. This first one is the Proceratosaurus figure. Alright, so this figure is mostly red. It's got some yellow detailing along the top of its back and neck. And it's got some lime green eyes too. It's pretty cool. Next up is the Jurassic World Velociraptor figure. This Velociraptor is orange in color. It's got some brown detailing along the top, and it's got those bright yellow eyes. Next up is the Jurassic World Atrociraptor figure. This Atrociraptor figure is the white and brown one that I'm sure you recognize from the movie, and it's got those evil-looking red eyes. And next up, we've got the Jurassic World Pyroraptor. I'm sure you recognize this figure from the Jurassic World Dominion movie as well. It's got a black and red body, and it's got those yellow-orange eyes too. Here we've got the small Sound Surge Giganotosaurus. It still has the green coloring with the black detailing along the top, and it comes with some sound effects. Here is another Giganotosaurus figure, but a whole lot larger. Still has the same coloring with a bit more detail with the black, I think. And it's got two actions. The first is for swinging the torso back and forth. And the second is for the jaws. This is a Spinosaurus figure that is dark green in color, just like the one we saw earlier, and it has the red detailing along its spine and all over its head too. Next up, we've got a Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. It is tan in color and it has a button on its back to activate the jaw. Here we've got another Carcharodontosaurus figure. We saw one earlier that had totally different coloring. This one is tan in color and it's got brown and orange detailing all along its back up to its head. This is a giant Indominus Rex figure with extreme battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off by pressing a button. I've got another Indominus Rex figure here. This one does not have the battle damage on the side, but instead the button activates the claws for slashing. Here's one of my coolest Spinosaurus figures. It has the most intricate detailing and coloring out of all of my Spinosaurus figures. It's got some blue on the spine, its eyes are a bright green color, and of course it's got the button at the top of its head for opening and closing the jaw. Here's another Sarcophagus figure. This one is green on the sides and belly and clay red along the top. Next up is an Allosaurus figure. This one is dark green with white and red detailing along its back and neck. And it's got the slide lever action to activate the jaw and sound effects. This is the Indoraptor. This figure actually has two actions. The first is on its tail. When you press that, it swings its arms shut. It's also got a button on the bottom of its tail to activate the jaw. And you can use the tail to swing the torso around too. This is a Mega Raptor figure from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. It's got some huge claws in the front and it's got a red and blue body. Down here, we've got a Stegosaurus figure that is gray-blue and it has some darker detailing along the top. And it has an action button to activate the tail for swinging back and forth. Here is another Scorpius Rex figure, but this is the basic edition, so you can't open and close the jaw, but you can still move the arms, the legs, and the tail. Back here is the Ankylosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got a bright clay red body with the brown detailing on top, and you can use the tail to control the neck and the jaws too. I believe this dinosaur is called an Amargosaurus. It's got the brown body with black detailing and the red all along its neck down to its tail too. And it's got two action buttons, one to activate the neck and one to activate the tail. This is a big Velociraptor blue figure. You can see the iconic blue all the way down its back, and of course the yellow eyes too. Here we've got another Allosaurus figure. This one is tan, dark blue, and bright blue, and it has two action buttons, one for the jaw and one for the arms. Here is a large Dilophosaurus figure. It has a battle damage button on the side, and it's got some super bright colors all over. It's got green, yellow, orange, and it's got some brown detailing all along its body too. If I remember correctly, this is an Iguanodon figure. It's got some detailing of tan and darker brown along the top, and it has an action button that moves its head up and down. This is a hybrid Triceratops Stegosaurus. It's got some battle damage on the side, and its entire body is super bright. It's got blue, it's got dark blue, and it's got a bunch of gold all over its body too. This is a Suchomimus in the dark blue color with the yellow detailing along its spine, and it's got one action button to activate the jaw. I've got another large Velociraptor figure in here. This one is the orange color, and this actually might be the same one that I opened up earlier on. It's got the brown detailing on the top and the yellow eyes too. This figure, I believe, is the Proceratosaurus. It's got a tan body with gray detailing and the red nose and orange eyes. Here we've got another Stegosaurus figure. This one is in a light blue-green color. It's got darker detailing along the top, and of course it's got the action button for swinging the tail back and forth. This is a Triceratops figure. It's got the clay red coloring with the brown detailing, and it's got an action button on its back to move the head up and down. This is a small Spinosaurus figure, and it is super brightly colored with the blue and red along its spine. It's also got some battle damage, and you can use the tail to move the head around too. I've got two small T-Rex figures in here. This first one though is actually a hybrid T-Rex, a hybrid with a Dilophosaurus, and it's got this super bright orange and gold all over its body. And this second smaller T-Rex figure is green with the battle damage on the side, and you can use the tail to control the mouth just like the other one. Our second to last dinosaur is a hybrid Stegosaurus Triceratops. This one is brown in color, it's got some yellow detailing on its legs, and it's got the battle damage on the side. And our final dinosaur of the 100 Jurassic World dinosaur figures is the Nasutoceratops. With the dark blue body, it's got the green legs and the red detailing along the top.
Want to see more dino videos? Click the subscribe button now.
Bye.